watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show podcast.
It is I, Mike James.
And I am Dan. Now,
for those that didn't know.
Yeah. Now, last week, Mike got me interested in something which I have done since the last podcast. Can you remember one of the things you advocated? I'll give you one hint.
Sleeping for 10 hours a night?
I mean, if I could, I would, trust me.
So it's not my comedy routine then?
No, it's something I watched based on last podcast.
Yeah, but you said you weren't going to do that, you look dirty perv.
No, so you got me interested in The Fall Guy.
Oh, yes.
Not quite as into it as you.
Now that you've said that, on that conversation from last week, and we mentioned the Ryan Reynolds, I watched that this weekend. It's gone.
What, Free Guy?
Yeah, good little film.
It is so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
How bizarre we as long as like back in the day of Blockbuster, I'll swap you that one. We'll swap the films over.
And probably because you did it on a streaming service. Don't forget, Love Film was originally the Netflix company, and
it was, yeah.
So you used to. Did you ever do that where you got them sent to you?
Yeah.
I did it for like 2 years. I think I kept more than I sent back. But anyway,
he's here. He's the guy.
I paid them off, so I didn't actually see them. Not as big a fan of it as you, I don't think.
No.
I mean, I don't know whether it was because I can sometimes get affected by the mind space I'm in when I watch something. I am exhausted at the moment waiting for my holiday, burnt out completely. I love the action scenes. They were great. I think it was just maybe I wasn't in quite as humour and mood as I can be with stuff. Because don't forget, I've completely reversed my opinions on stuff in times past because I watched it when I was grumpy.
Yeah, that's true.
So at some point, and it won't be for like a few months so it's a bit fresher again, I'll give it another try. However, music note, how good is the Yungblud song in it?
Yeah.
Like such a good cover. I've been obsessing about that since.
Have you not heard that before?
Not in like because obviously in a movie they take the best licks out of it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I'd heard like the start of it when it was released, or knowing what we're like, if we played it, we'd probably talked over it in the studio.
No, we haven't played it because it would have been on That Should Cover It.
Yeah. So.
But maybe it might squeeze into it.
But no, I one of the things I found quite interesting about it was. I couldn't work out where it was going, which is often, for me, quite a nice thing about a movie, because if you can predict, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, you kind of just sat there watching by numbers almost.
But they even tell you in the first act what's going to happen for the rest of the movie. And it did become quite predictable, but then there was like...
I mean, the bit that was unpredictable was the fact that an actor suddenly is like a gang boss with all of his friends owning automatic weapons, and like they're obsessing over one death, causing like countless other deaths at the same time. So I like the absurdity quite a lot of that. And I'm not sure if we did it on the podcast or whether it was just when we were chatting. But you'll be very pleased about something else. I've only done 2 of the 4 available.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're now a fully fledged Yungblud fan.
He's winning me over more and more over time. I was never anti-Yungblud, just never like I'll sit there and listen to the whole album.
It's not your go-to.
No. But the other thing I did was I watched the first 2 episodes of the new season of Scrubs. And I can see why you like it so much because
Bill Lawrence does it again.
Well, not only that, but you kind of go in and you're like, oh. Is it really going to be that? And you're like, oh, no, wait, they've just got me. Like, the first episode is such a good... I don't want to do spoilers on the podcast.
It fills in the past 20 years.
Really, really well. And I like how some stuff you're like, oh, okay, throwback. And then there's other stuff you're like, actually, that's interesting. They decided to change it. Though, did you get like the little pang in the heart the first time that he goes outside Sacred Heart? And it's like the first time you've seen the outside of the hospital, not on the rerun of the old show.
But the thing is, where they used to film it, it was a disused hospital.
Back in the day, yes.
But that's now been floored.
So they had to rebuild...
all the internal hospital scenes are all on a soundstage.
Yeah.
And anything exterior has just been used from stock footage of the old building.
Because they do interact outside the building.
They do. They probably built that runway.
Yeah, the classic entrance. Yeah. Because did you realise in the original show, and you probably did because of the podcast, the first episode wasn't sacred, like the disused hostel is a completely different one, which is why you never get the same waiting room back and stuff like that.
And did you notice on the new Scrubs for the start, where they put the X-ray up, he flicks it from the tablet. Yeah. But in the original, when they put the X-ray up, it's the wrong way round.
Yes.
The heart's on the wrong side.
Yes. It makes me laugh every time. But it was the point that the titles went off, because I watched it with our manager, Heidi. When the titles went off, we went, this is just a show for us. Like, it's pitched perfectly at the age.
Yeah.
And then to tie all of this together in a weird knot, the other thing I did notice, and it took me only a couple of minutes because of the hair colour change and like complete demeanour change as well, but going back to Fall Guy, is realising that the one from Ted Lasso, Hannah Waddingham?
Yes.
Just like suddenly, like, because I was sat there
singing or anything.
Yeah, I was just sat there, and then suddenly it was like, wait, I know that voice, and I was like, I know that smile. And I was very, very impressed. Like everything I see her in,
she's awesome.
Every time you see a new character, it's a bit like Aaron Taylor Johnson that's in Fall Guy as well. You don't watch him and go, I'm just watching Aaron again. You watch him and you go, I'm watching the character that they're trying to portray. Because some actors, and I'm afraid Gosling does fall into this a little bit for me, Gosling is Gosling in every movie. Ryan Reynolds, also, like, don't get me wrong, you choose your flavour of somebody that is the same in every movie.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is a bit similar, and there's only a few movies I can think of where he's vastly different to the general character he plays. But then you get Aaron Taylor Johnson or somebody like Hannah Waddingham, and you watch the character. He's kick-ass. He's in the Godzilla reboot as a soldier.
He's also the bookie's favourite to be the new Bond.
To be honest, I would really like that. I think, because have you seen Bullet Train?
With Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's Tangerine with the moustache and the sweet back as well. That's Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No.
Again, because I try...
It must have whizzed me by, that one.
I try not to...
That's a train joke, everyone. That's a train joke.
Dad downstairs is clapping.
Yeah. He's going to like, subscribe, and he'll even put a little comment. Well done, Mike.
I love steam trains. But no.
Bullet train, not steam train.
No, Dad loves steam trains. Yeah, no.
Imagine a steam train going that fast.
I mean, just the same movie, but done in like period drama on a steam train.
Like steampunk.
Yeah. Okay, we got a new movie here.
We're pitching it here.
But no, I try not to IMDb somebody if it's close to like I'm getting it. Try and go 90s style where we didn't have IMDb to check or Google to check who it is.
You'd have to wait till the next day at school and go, have you seen it? Who was that?
Exactly that. So I try and like do a little ode to that if I'm close, and it was about, and then suddenly he did like a little thing, and I was like, it can't be Aaron Taylor Johnson, because again he's one of the few that a bit like James McAvoy.
Yeah,
he is incredible. That when you watch him, you're not watching James McAvoy. You're watching Professor Xavier. You're watching 20,000 different characters in Split and
the thing is with him,
Glass. I
always just see him as the boyfriend from Shameless.
See, I never watched Shameless.
The UK version of Shameless. Yeah. He was one of the eldest Gallagher daughter's boyfriend.
See, I love these old things because I didn't watch it either, but I knew about it. Is Nicholas Hoult got his start in Skins?
No, way before that.
Okay, so
Skins was after. He's the kid in About a Boy.
Well, yeah, no, I knew that, but they said that because he said that Skins launched him as an adult.
Yeah, as an adult, but he'd done stuff before.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like Tom Holland was doing stuff a long time before people realised that when he became Spider-Man that he was a thing. Like, not sure if he was actually the actor that played Tiny Iron Man in one of the movies, but that's the lore inside it. But these ones, like I say, is because I watched the new Superman where Nicholas Holt's Lex.
Yes.
And again, by the time I got into a few scenes, I didn't feel like I was watching Nicholas Hoult. I felt like I was just watching a Lex Luthor character.
Well, that's the point of a good actor or actress, isn't it?
Well, they're not necessarily always the best paid, though, because there is...
I'm looking forward to seeing the film that won a load of Oscars last week, Sinners, because Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor, but he plays two characters.
Well, I'm not surprised.
And it's a vampire film.
Because I've watched Michael B. Jordan in quite a few movies.
He's good, isn't he?
And like the funny thing is if you only got introduced to him in Black Panther, you would be like, okay, that he plays that type of gangster fighter really, really well. But then you watch him in something completely different, even though it's a similar genre. Did you ever watch Chronicle? The sort of Blair Witch style superhero movie thing where they three high school kids get powers.
Yes.
And one of them's really abused, so he ends up abusing everything around him. It's pretty screwed up storyline.
Yes, I think I have seen it.
And I think that's also Michael B. Jordan, but he's playing like this peppy, happy football jock, and that's nothing like the guy who plays in that. And he is one of those where I enjoy watching him fool me into thinking he's the character he is. But
as soon as Sinners is on a streamer,
you're going to be watching
I'm going to pre-save that and watch that because it's a vampire film and I do like my vampire films. And he won an Oscar for it and it's won loads of other Oscars last week. So,
I mean, I don't pay attention to the Oscars. All I know is that Timothée Chalamet is... Chalamet.
He didn't win anything for his ping pong story.
I think, though, I've seen it happen before where somebody said that he's not an artist, he's a celebrity, whereas the things I've watched him in, because is it like A Beautiful Boy? That was one of his early works where he plays a...
I only know him from Wonka.
Okay, it's Wonka.
And he was in Homeland that I was watching.
But you've seen Interstellar as well, haven't you?
Yes.
He's the son. The teenage version is Timothy.
Because he's the teenage version is in Homeland. Yeah. It's like the senator's son or something like that.
I'm looking forward to when he does something to address the criticism, because I sense that his
next film surely has got to be an operatic film, or he's got to do ballet. Going back to the Oscars, they had ballet at the Oscars, and all the ballet,
he got up and walked out.
all the ballerinas were doing their, they were up on their points, like spinning and doing all that, but they're all just like glaring at him, like you.
If looks could kill,
he would be a dead man.
Yeah, I think he gets the thing is I think he gets over criticised. Because he's so popular with a certain age group. Because I remember
he's this generation's heartthrob, isn't he?
That's what I was going to say. I was trying to find a delicate way of putting it, but that's quite a good way.
He's an it couple as well, as they used to say, because he's with a Kardashian.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as people...
No, she's not a Kardashian, is she?
She's a Jenner.
She's a Jenner.
Yeah. I don't... I'm not going to... this would be the part that somebody gets, just the wrong context on. But as somebody that, we do a radio show, we do grifting, there is part of my professional brain that really respects the whole family unit of the Kardashians for the fact that they've managed to make so much money out of being so talentless.
Getting famous off a sex tape and...
well, just one of them, but then got the whole family famous off of it. Yeah. That's incredible.
Aren't they all, by themselves, billionaires each?
Definitely millionaires each, and then I think...
Oh, yeah. There's a couple... There's at least Kim and Kylie are billionaires, I think. Hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, if you've got statistics. I mean, we don't care enough about that. And the sci-fi geek in me still, every time I hear Keeping Up with the Kardashians, is I see those forehead ridgy aliens from Deep Space Nine Star Trek, because they're called Kardashians, but with a C. Rather than a KH. So for me, it's always one of those funny things because they were quite camp aliens. And I would quite like to see a parody, somebody do it on AI for me, where it's camp aliens acting like the Kardashians with a K. I think that'd be, for me, I think I've designed a meme that probably a very, very, very niche select group of people would find funny.
Well, even Kim Kardashian has ventured into acting. She's in American Horror Story and she's shooting something at the moment that's in my timelines.
I mean,
give it a go.
Well, it's the same thing.
What have you got to lose?
Well, I always think when somebody starts a new venture, I think about Ollie Sykes. I sat there laughing at the idea that Ollie Sykes was about to start singing after years of being a deathcore vocalist and not particularly liking Bring Me the Horizon at that point in time. And then having to 180 my opinion so hard it made my head spin. Especially when they started doing those live versions where, one shot so it's all done properly. And I'm like, he's not just a good singer. he is a great singer. And then, of course, following that story all the way to headlining Download, and we watched them headline Reading as well.
But not just that, he's also an entrepreneur, because he's a producer.
Yeah, well, he had Drop Dead clothing, didn't he, in his early career?
Yeah, he's got Drop Dead. He's still involved with that, because he's always plugging Drop Dead. So, he's father of twins now as well. It's like,
and respect to him for two things. One, very publicly sobering up in the first place. But my respect for him, like with James Hetfield when he went back to rehab, is I respect Ollie Sykes for being honest that he struggled so badly.
Yeah.
He wobbled, and what was so great about it is somebody that famous, that famously sober as well. We've talked about the idea of being famously sober. I think he inspired an awful lot of people that have wobbles to not give up, because he had a wobble and then he got his sobriety back. And I think a lot of people need to realise that even if you have a wobble, it doesn't mean that you have to give up on the idea of being sober, because...
Natasha Lyonne has done it recently, the actress. She was sober for ages, had a wobble earlier this year and is now sorting herself out. But just quickly going back to Hetfield, did you see what he did at the weekend?
Oh, the underwater brawl. Yeah. What a G!
Yeah.
What a G!
I'm going to get down on one knee, but on the bottom of the sea.
Not only that, but what I love about this is, for a man that, because I watched Some Kind of Monster a couple of times when it came out, is James Hetfield, for his private life, is actually quite a surprisingly private person for how famous he is. And I know from watching interviews that one of the things that bothered him is how much his divorce became like headlines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, it was just nice to see a man that I feel like has accompanied me through my entire adult life with his music. Just nice to see, because we loved it at Download, when he was sat there with his cup of tea and a cigar, chilling out, and seeing how calm he was at that point. But to see him this happy again after everything that he went through, because I was just watching Lasso last night. It was the episode where he says, divorce is hard. It doesn't matter if you're the one leaving or the one being left. Divorce is hard. And it's just really nice to see, one, he's been enjoying himself on stage more than ever, and two, he's actually found something that he probably thought at one point wasn't going to get back.
And Metallica have just announced a residency at the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah. Do you know who's an annoyingly good interviewer and podcaster as well? Lars.
Oh, he is so knowledgeable about everything.
Like, annoyingly good. I swear, Lars is the thing that gets better with my age. The more I grow up, the more I love Lars Ulrich for everything that he's done. I now agree with him 100% that we needed to do something about Napster and streaming services. Yeah. 100%.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, I love
the blast beat on one.
I love just how much he's sent himself up in media. I'm thinking, obviously, it's a bit of a problematic film given who the lead is, but Get Him to the Greek.
Yes.
How much he sends himself. He signed up.
Go soon, Napster.
But the amount that he signed up to basically the whole time be taken the piss out of, that shows you how chill he is. But the podcasting, even I was sat there just going, you're not an idiot drummer. You're not an idiot that's got to this famous stage and given up on exploring things, understanding things.
He's an art savant as well. He knows fine art and deals and buys and sells fine art to lots of money, which is And
we watched him also. Let's not forget, we watched him in his lazy era, which he admits to now. And both me and you were so disappointed. And we're not going to mention which gigs, but there was a couple where
there was a couple of summers, weren't there? Yeah. We saw them, and he was like,
this is so boring. And then do you remember the Reading? It was when it was James just went, welcome to the new Metallica era. And then suddenly it was like Battery, Master of Puppets, all of their fastest stuff. And I think they deliberately did it because they knew it was being recorded, but they kept a camera on Lars for a good half of the performances to show that he was doing it. If you can fight back when you have no reason to because you've got more money than most people, if you can fight back to make sure that you're delivering to the fans that got you there in the first place, I say fair play.
Everyone loves a redemption.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I don't mind Guns N' Roses being at Download this year, because Axl... I know. But Axl as well...
Architects all the way that evening.
100%. But I respect Axl for his fight back to, fitness.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
But that was he got back to fitness to be able to do what they did 6 or 7 years ago when they played 3 hours at Download, and that was cool. But even though an hour's worth was just covers, so now they're just milking it.
I mean,
it's a slot that someone else could have been elevated up into. Push it forwards. I'm
in complete agreement. I think, though, it's very, very difficult to tell a band that they need to stop. That's
not necessarily stop, because they will still always sell thousands of tickets, but maybe stop doing youthful festivals. Because let's face it, Download, the rest of the lineup, geared, I would say, for 40 years and below of age.
I mean, because it's largely geared for me, and I'm 40 this year.
Yeah, so your headliners are bands that you were at college and
but then again,
school with, university with.
My nephew, who's in his early 20s, said he has no interest in going to Download because to him, he's like, yeah, I'd sing along to break stuff. He's like, but I don't care about anything else that Limp Bizkit has done. I'm like, well, fair. I was like, that.
Yeah, but when we started going to Download, like, how many songs by Def Leppard every other year did we know? It's just like...
True. I'm just... what I find quite interesting...
It's now moved on the next 10 years. So it was, what was it, Def Leppard, ZZ Top, those kind of Motley Crue. They played,
I mean, we ignored all the headliners last time Def Leppard was there, because wasn't it Def Leppard, Kiss, and somebody else?
Aerosmith. It's like,
something like that,
now they've all kind of dropped off. It is the next era. So we've had Korn headline, who just announced a UK tour with Architects.
That's going to be sick. Oh, did you see him at NASCAR?
Yes.
He actually did the thing. You ready?
And then there's Limp Bizkit this year.
Yeah.
And I think next year...
P. Roach.
Possibly P. Roach or Deftones are more likely.
I would happily have both either end of the weekend.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, Linkin Park are the same new metal era as Limp Bizkit, and that went down quite well.
I don't know if P. Roach are doing enough tickets on the tour that they've announced at the moment.
Who knows? Because P. Roach, like we've done it ourselves, where we've watched them go in and out of being super popular and then slightly less and then super popular again. I would have said that Limp Bizkit wasn't selling enough, but...
Well, they headlined the stage they were on at Reading last year when we went and saw them. So,
I mean...
they're headlining all around the world. It's...
I get
last year or so it's fair enough. Same with Deftones. Everywhere else but the UK, they've headlined major alternative festivals in various countries. So it's time. Plus, if you see what happened to Deftones, with the album last year, it was, #1 album for so many of the critics at the end of the year, and the UK tour sold out, and they were playing the biggest of venues in the UK.
Amazing.
In the arenas, because there's the smaller arenas and then there's the ones that Deftones was selling out, and they've got their own headline show this year at All Points East.
I think you might be on the money for them being the most likely, because I like having a new metal headliner, but that is partly because it's my era.
As long as it's not System of a Down, because A, they won't put out any new albums, and B, we've seen them 3 or 4 times headline Download. And
it's not new.
It's never been... exciting. We've actually sat and watched them, haven't we? Literally sat on the top of the hill and just like... you're just here collecting the money. Entertain us. Don't just
play by numbers.
Yeah, System of a Down by numbers. It's just kind of.
And I get I get the internal issues. I get that you can become very disillusioned with your own sound, but the problem is that's okay. And it's something actually I watched on a podcast the other day. Is that's okay if you're a good band playing. Second from main support, maybe even headlining the second stage. You can have off days if you're a good, nearly great band. But if you're a festival headliner, then the difference between good and great is that you're not allowed off days in the same way. No. You can have bum moments, you can have mistakes, but to have entire performances where everybody leaves and goes, yeah, right. And what I don't like is they did a very Kings of Leon thing. Because Kings of Leon got really annoyed with their...
Sex on Fire.
Yeah. So they started playing it badly on stage and ruining it for it. Did you get the feeling the last couple of times that we watched System that they were trying to do bad versions of Chop Suey and Toxicity?
Can't even remember seeing them. I know we were there and we watched them, but if you said to me what would have been the standout headliners for the last 15 years of attendance,
they would never get there.
They wouldn't even scratch the surface.
100%. We got a bit distracted because I was going to talk to you a little bit about something, because we're not actually going to get necessarily into it today, because we've already run into an interesting conversation point. Because we were talking, and it's all based on, you made a comment a few weeks back that horror...
It's always my fault.
Horror has nearly as many subgenres to it as metal does.
Yeah, it does.
No, I completely, 100% agree. But then the reason why it's kind of stalled us a little bit, because we were trying to work out, it's like, okay, what would be an interesting thing to do for the podcast? So I said maybe doing 3 movies each, talking about them.
But that's also a lot of watch time when we've got 5 hours of wrestling that we normally talk about.
As well as main jobs.
And main jobs plus radio show and cats.
I mean, I literally watch my cat for like half an hour earlier.
Yeah, every day just like...
But also, it was that good. The funny thing is we were there going, okay, so let's try and define it a little bit. And then we got lost in Ascension. This is what I think we should sort of the main talking point here and put it to our audience. The problem that we're having is what actually makes a horror. Because me and you have been discussing this for a couple of weeks now.
We have, haven't we?
Because
even walking up the stairs to the studio here is like...
Well, you used the point that you made about Scream.
Yeah, you were like, oh, I'm looking forward to watching the new Scream. I was like...
I really am.
Yeah, but they're not horror films. They're good, like, spooky stories, but...
Slashers, if you want to call them their subgenre. Because that is their maybe they're not known as it anymore, but that was their original subgenre, is there a slasher.
Yeah.
Which...
Like what is horror for you?
This is the point, is I would always say that Scream is horror for me, because it was one of the first horror movies, or what I thought was a horror movie, that I watched when I was a teenager.
See, I think I'm lucky with my age. No, probably not. That I started watching horror movies when the gore factor was, you could tell it was either animatronics or sort of
really obvious corn syrup.
Yeah, corn syrup, and
so they put a lot more work into the storyline.
Yeah, that as well. But then sort of like mid-90s onwards, when you got VFX and special effects and stuff, and it all became digital, and then that just became stupid. You know, you get a zombie film and he bites into someone, and you watch Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, and the jugular comes out in their mouth and stuff. It looks great.
Yeah, and there's bits of entrails and all sorts nowadays, whereas back then it was just like, oh, you've just got some tights filled with, or some sausage meat coming out of your mouth, and this... You could tell it was fake.
Well, a bit like how you were really forgiving in Terminator when he's pulling, trying to work on his eye, and it's such an obvious fake rubber mass because there was no other way of doing it.
Yeah. Whereas nowadays, you know, someone gets their hand chopped off and it looks like someone gets their hand chopped off, and that's just in, you know, Casualty or a hospital drama type thing. Whereas in a horror film, look at like the later Saw films. Some of those are so elaborate.
Well, this is what I was actually talking to our manager about 3 to 4 hours ago before you turned up, is Saw, for me, starts as a nearly perfect psychological horror. Yeah. Because it's a thriller and a horror because of that. But because they had to keep selling, they almost had too much success on their first movie. Second one, they do quite well because it was still very much in the same vein. There was a nice twist at the end.
If you're writing a film, you always write 3. Yeah. And hoping that the first one does well, so you can pick up the other 2, and you've got that story continuing, because things work better in 3s, apparently. And
I know with Scream, I don't want to distract myself, because I was just going to say, by Saw 4... it's a gore fest. Yeah. It's not a beautifully intricate storyline anymore.
I would agree. It's more gore because it's got the special effects. You know, how you're going to get a key out of a jar with razor blades in and get all your fingers slashed up. And that looks really gory but you can actually see that that's what it would look like. Someone's paid attention to, if you slash this part of your finger, that it will bend that way, and vice versa. Whereas back in the early 90s and the 80s, you did the same thing, and it would be like, oh, I've just pulled out a bunch of sausages and slashed those open, kind of thing. It's the way of producing it it's a lot more realistic. So
like the pit of needles was great because they had skin-coloured suckers with the needles coming out to make it look and do the skin pull.
Yeah,
a lot of thought went into it, but it was saw maybe 3 or 4 where they did surgery as part of it, and they macerated up all the pigs that were dead, and like that for me, I was just like, this isn't what Saw was.
But you can get that's like I was just saying, you get that. What was that hospital drama that George Clooney was in? Was it ER?
Yeah, he was in ER.
Yeah. So there's an episode on that where they are. I can't remember the ins and outs of this episode, but there's one of the doctors was like a bold ginger guy, and they go up to the top of the hospital where the helicopter comes in, and he turns around quickly and gets his arm chopped off.
Yeah.
And that looked so gory and realistic. It was almost as if it was come from a horror film, but it was from a primetime TV show. So what's the difference between this guy getting his arm chopped off and you can see all the blood and, you could see where the bone circle is and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Why is that a hospital drama on primetime TV, whereas the same thing happens in a horror film, but it's an axe that drops down and chops their arm off, but you've got exactly the same detail?
I think it's the reaction as well.
It's the reaction and the story. So then, is it the story that causes it to be a horror film?
Well, this is what I was, because I put this to a few of my students, because you've got to find things sometimes to talk about to just get them distracted after something bad.
Talk about gore.
Actually, no, I talk about, because there's a place in hometown where I teach, and you're going to know where I'm talking about, where there's an electricity pylon in the island of a road in a council estate. And every time I drive past it, even though it's like 1% of the size of the tower or the radio mast in full, always makes me think about that movie. And because we were talking about horror so much and what defines it, I thought I'd ask, because my students are only between 17 and 27 most of the time. So it's nice, fair, a lot younger than me.
Wax off.
And I said to them, I was like, is Fool a horror or is it a thriller?
It's a psychological thriller, I would say.
But Netflix and other streaming services class it as a horror. So it on the genre description that it comes out, even IMDb, one of the ones it falls into is horror. Okay.
Space drama film, Gravity.
Yep.
So, is it Sandra Bullock, is it?
Yeah, and George Clooney, funnily enough.
She's got to let him go and float off into space.
The only bit that didn't make sense.
That's emotional. That gets emotional, but the rest of it, it's shot in a capsule, which is claustrophobic. So why is that could be classed as horror as well?
It actually...
Claustrophobia
is one of its classifications. It's a space horror. It's not a sci-fi, because it's not science fiction, it's real, but it is classed as a horror because... everything goes wrong, she's got to survive, but then it's also classed as a survival movie.
Yeah.
The other one, because you'll know this...
It's a multi-genreisation of everything. So if we're going real life, then I drive up the motorway every single day, and if there is a truck in front of me that's got logs on them, I do not drive in the same lane as him, even if I've got a... piss off as a driver. I have seen Final Destination
2. It's Final Destination 2. Because the first one's the plane, second one's the log lorry.
It's just the way that not only is it realistic that the log could come off, but there's the sound effect of that log when it first comes off and it goes boom. Yeah. That's the exact sound of a log of that size hitting tarmac at 60 miles an hour and then straight in. But then in that franchise as well, they've got a plate of glass that just drops from the skyfall and just squishes someone like a
pancake. Literally, the sunbed scene.
Yeah.
That sunbed scene, I still, when I use them, because I do it for the vitamin D, I don't care about tanning, but I really struggle with seeing the effect of the disorder. And one of the main tips is to use that. I still think about that scene every time I get in the bed, and I make sure there's no loose items that could pin me in or something like that.
But it's real. It's the realness of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a whole generation, and I'm part of that generation, that won't go into deep water at the sea because of Jaws.
There is that. I mean, I always like...
love a fish.
I'm paranoid about my friends if they start saying things like, "Live her alone," because I'm like, are you trying to kill me? because of, funnily enough, Scream, it really made me paranoid that my best friends could be the ones trying to knife me in a mask. Even though there was nobody getting knifed, you would still kind of look around at your friends like, are you capable? And I think that was one of the reasons why Scream got so big, is because compared to everything, not everything, but most things that came before it, there was no supernatural element.
No.
There was.
That's another thing you can dive into, because that's fragmented. Like,
I mean, again, is Alien a horror or is Alien a sci-fi?
Because I think it's a. Oh, well, there's that scene, isn't there? That's...
And especially if you watch Ridley Scott's later work, it's very much, for me, like Prometheus and stuff like that, that's very much a horror set in space, not a sci-fi movie, because it doesn't, like, I'm a massive sci-fi fan. I watch every sci-fi franchise. If it starts with Star, I've watched everything it's ever released. And there are certain trends to sci-fi where you can go, this makes it sci-fi. Alien barely hits any of those apart from the fact it's set in space. The rest of it is far more like a supernatural horror movie.
But then supernatural, you've got Poltergeist.
Paranormal
Activity. Blair Witch is...
It's still supernatural.
It's supernatural.
No, we got to... I think, like we said about this off air, but I find the behind-the-scenes production of Blair Witch so fascinating compared to any other point-of-view movie that's been made, because it's one of the only ones where the production team were genuinely playing tricks on the actors.
Yeah. And mess with their heads.
But also the actors deliberately unknown, like said, act things up. But the actors themselves said it got to the point where it felt like a documentary, and we forgot that the production team were organising all of this because they did do such a good job of putting us into that mind state. Weird horror point as well, because I don't know if you've done what I did, and I found it interesting that it was done again. Cabin Fever. The OG, with the guy from Boy Meets World, that's a very old-fashioned reference for 90s kids. I love that movie. To this day, I still think it's hilarious. It's so over the top, it's so silly. But did you ever watch like the 10, 15 years later remake by the same director where he modernised it and changed certain parts of the storyline?
I think I might have... Yeah, I might have done.
Because I have never, no offence to him, I liked the idea of revisiting and seeing whether or not you could sell sell it to a younger generation, because it wasn't meant for me. It was meant for me at the age I originally watched Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much my sort of horror values at that point line up with the original, and still do. I still find that to be a good...
It's jump scares as well.
Yeah, it's a good jump scare one, but it's also they're fighting a disease, like a flesh-eating disease. They're not actually fighting anything else.
Well, that's like Contagion and 28 Days Later. It's like disease and that kind of making zombies. But then you go down... Zombie films can be, are they horror or are they comedy? Well, you've got Shaun of the Dead on one side. And Zombieland, those are hilarious and great fun, especially Bill Murray in Zombieland.
Amazing.
But then you go the other way, 28 Days Later. And
like Day of the Dead.
The original Day of the Dead, but then you've got the more modern versions of them as well. It's just...
Also, what about when you blend in stuff like vampires for, I'm thinking Dayseekers.
Right.
Or Daybreakers,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the band. Daybreakers, where the vampire society has taken over the world, and then it becomes almost a horror movie against vamps and humans, because you've got that next stage of vampire that's chasing everybody around.
Yeah, but then you've got the same thing for vampire movies. It's multi-genre, because you've got Lost Boys, the iconic Lost Boys. So good. Which is all about vampires, and there is not necessarily a gore bit at the end, but there's a bit where the wooden post goes through him, and it's just like his face all changes, but that was 80s prosthetics, which was a lot more scary back then. And if they remade it now and used CGI, it'd be like, it's just his face would fall apart kind of thing. It's just like, what's more scary? This is the interesting thing, because again, what would you consider any part of the Buffy or Angel franchise as horror, or is that all fantasy action? definitely fantasy.
I mean, all right. But my point being is there's a lot in there which goes to horror cues, because he who shall not be named, the director and creator of it, because I don't appreciate what has come out about his misogyny since. But there was a lot about that, like especially with the angel turn and stuff like that, and the way it happened. It was designed to feather into a bit of horror, so that you weren't just watching kick-ass scenes. But
it was kind of a bit like Black Veil Brides and Fearless Vampire Killers, The Defiled. They're a gateway into discovering, So if you watch,
heavier makeup stuff. Yeah,
if you watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you go, oh, what's this vampire genre? And you can go off and go all the way down to,
Blade at the time.
Yeah, Nosferatu, which has just been redone after 100 years.
Interview with a Vampire, that's strictly a vampire one still, isn't it?
Vampire one around the 90s as well. And then obviously Bram Stoker's Dracula, that's been remade hundreds of times. And you've got...
But then it led to stuff like Bright, which... admittedly, that's not so much vampires as it is elves and orcs and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's more fantasy, isn't it? Like
fantasy action, for sure.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings-esque.
Yeah. The one film that I still can't quantify on this, and it's not... I also want to... Well, for the podcast, I'll rewatch it so it's really fresh in my mind. But it's genuinely probably the film that has made me... Not scared me, but made me the most... under the skin uncomfortable that I have ever been, ever, and Fool comes close because
lights on kind of,
because you know how much I hate watching free climbing videos anyway, and the fact that my feet hurt. Don't ask why, I don't understand it, but the soles of my feet hurt anytime I watch free climbing. So Fool was just 2 hours of my feet hurting. But the one I can't define, is it horror, is it a thriller, is it even dribbling into a war movie? And it's the one that one of the few movies where he does do something different, and we've already mentioned him, but it's Ryan Reynolds in Buried.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying about gravity and the claustrophobic element, I don't know another movie that's more claustrophobic than that.
Yeah.
Like filming him...
Being buried alive.
Yeah. But it's done because he's like this liaison in a war zone, and they've decided to take him to try and ransom him. So that makes it the war element. But... is being trapped in a box by an opposing side in a war, does that then stop it being able to be a horror because it's claustrophobic? Obviously, it's quite psychological because he does try and save himself the whole way through.
But if you watch the latest season of Beast Games, they've put people in glass coffins and bury them with cameras on them.
Is that horror or is that still games?
Well, that's well, it's basically what would you do for £1 million or $5 million?
I mean, Mr. Beast is essentially done, because this is a reference for you and people of our generation. Do you reckon that Mr. Beast just watched Tarrant on TV in the 90s and all the Japanese game shows that used to be on Tarrant on TV and went, you know what, if I westernise this, because for years and years, Japanese game shows were always, what will people do for money?
Well, there used to be the British Friday night show called The Word, and that was a part of that was that, and there's a guy that had to kiss a granny like with tongues or lick a fat man's sweaty armpit.
I mean, that sounds like Jackass, to be honest.
It was prelim to Jackass, but one of the features, the most legendary one, was the contestant would go, I'd do anything to get on TV, and someone pulled their pants down, chopped off their pubic hair, put it on a cracker, and he had to eat the cracker, and he did. And
that's literally a Dirty Sanchez skit as well.
Yeah, just to get on TV. And it's just like, now you're just known as the guy that ate the pube cracker on TV. And even now, like 25, 30 years later...
You're still pube cracker man. But, tell you what, the thing that makes me laugh about Beast Games, and it's something that I find very funny about the internet currently, is every generation, like new generation that comes along, and now I'm old enough to look down on a few and go, you young kids or whatever, is they always think that they're the first ones to like push limits. And Beast Games is an amazing example of this, because they're like, nothing has ever been this controversial. It's like, excuse me, I used to watch Golden Balls. Yeah. Like, somebody nearly got stabbed over Golden Balls. There's that one I can't remember the name of, where it's not Would I Lie to You, but it's like it's all lie detector based, and they have to answer honestly if they want the money, and like things have come out of it where a woman admitted on on TV that she had been cheating on her husband because she wanted to get the money.
That was the Winter Olympics a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Bloke that won a medal and
turned out he was cheating.
Yeah.
He admitted it in the thing. No, but there was a show where the whole premise was, what would you actually say for money? What truths will you give away? And one of them was she was cheating on her husband and she admitted it. Another one, I think, actually ousted a paedophile out of the family and stuff it was brutal, and it was before AI, so I know that these weren't created scenes, but I can't remember the name of the show.
The Moment of Truth.
The Moment of Truth. So that's why it makes me laugh when kids are like, Beast Games is the most controversial game show in the world. I'm like, oh, come on. It's really not the most controversial one.
No.
I mean, I occasionally used to see families try and stab each other on Family Fortune. I mean, and not the Steve Harvey version either, though he is brilliant on that version.
Yeah. But going back to the horror stuff. Yeah, even something like burying someone alive, you were saying it's claustrophobic, but there's the cabin could be classed as a claustrophobic because you've got to stay in this. But then if you look at American Horror Story, some of that is based on real things.
Yep.
And it's just crazy. Reality is more scary more often than what someone can make up, because if you go on Netflix and search out real life crimes and go and watch the new Ed Gaines docu-series with the guy from Sons of Anarchy that plays Ed Gaines, it's phenomenal. But the things he did set the precedent for horror films going forward. So Psycho, because Ed Gaines wore his mum's made a bodysuit out of his mum, but Ed Gaines also did there's a few other bits I can't remember it all because I was really engrossed, and it's I did not realise he did that, and then that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But you made a very good
started it. It's just
you made a very good point about gore when we were talking about this behind the scenes, that if you were to name a Thomas Harris book come movie, everybody may not even realise it's a Thomas Harris book, but out of the set of Red Dragon, Hannibal, or Silence of the Lambs, which one would you say is the most popular?
Silence, but it's not the...
It's the least goriest of the three.
They've already got the perpetrator.
Well, not only that, but it doesn't need to be gory because its presence, it's well written. Admittedly, it comes from a book.
Well, also, Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar for the least amount of screen time for an Oscar winner at the time.
Yeah.
Because he's only in the film for something like 16 minutes.
Yeah, but it's because he does that. He does, and I've actually I didn't read the book. I listened to the audiobook, but it was unabridged, so I got the whole thing. I kid you not. He embodies what the author is trying to tell you about the character so well. Even Thomas Harris was like, I didn't realise that there was somebody that could actually be, and not just play him, be Hannibal Lecter the way that he did.
There's a TV show called Hannibal, which is the early years when Hannibal was a lecturer and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think it's loosely based off of Black Sunday, the first of the novels.
Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen plays Hannibal, and he is so good at it.
Yeah.
He just plays it to a T. It's just but the thing with Hannibal is he had to learn all that stuff. He had to learn how to slice someone open and the right bits, like in one of the films where he cuts his head open, but he's still alive and feeds him his own brain and things like that.
Yes, of course. That's the Hannibal movie, yes.
Yeah, you have to be, as the assailant, you have to be so clued up and know exactly what you're doing. It's the same with American Psycho or any of these books that become films, that the evil person is normally, it's a fine line between evil and genius.
It almost because they're
pathological and
basically sociopaths now.
100%.
Now they're not killers; they're billionaires. But one thing I found quite interesting, I was something you said, and I distracted myself by making a joke out of billionaires.
They do pretty well for that themselves.
It was, I can never remember his name straight off. Who was Commissioner Gordon in the Bale movies? What's the actor that plays him? Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah.
In Hannibal, is one of the few times I haven't recognised Gary Oldman.
Oh yeah, because he's got all the prosthetics.
And do you know what he had? Like he got them to tape his eyelid up. So the whole time you see him on screen, he has taped his eyelids so he is unable to blink, and the drops that they're putting in, the character obviously needed them, but Gary Oldman also needed that to stop his eyeball doing it, because he also had a really thick contact lens in to make it glassy. To this day, it was one of the most shocking things to realise who he was after... I watched the movie like 2 or 3 times. And then I was watching an interview with him, and he was like, I think one of my favourite roles to play, because I could really... He's like, in a different way to other roles, I could really lose myself in not being a Gary Oldman character. And he was like, and it was Hannibal. And I was like, wait, I don't remember him being... And then on the interview, they flash up like what he looked like. He's like, he's like, I'd never get my eyelid taped open again. But... Oh.
Well, it's like Clockwork Orange back in the day when it came out in the 70s. It was so... ultra violence is what they call it in the actual film. Yeah. But yeah, it was classed as such violence, but you don't actually see it's all done in edit. That's what happened with a lot of films way back then. Yes. It was more the psychological of like you see someone with like in Clockwork Orange, a giant dildo, and then go down like that, and then it's cut, and you hear the sound of it going into someone's skull kind of thing, but you don't see it, they don't show it. Yeah. But the sound effects and, the shadows or whatever, it's like in Psycho, the shower scene.
It's just shadows.
It's the and then the cello goes, and as the cello plays the bass notes, you see blood washing down.
The timing is great.
It's timing, editing and cutting, but you don't actually see a knife going into someone. Yeah. It's all perceived. Whereas nowadays...
Hostel's a good example of the opposite end.
That's what I was just about to say. Is like nowadays you would see a bit where like, there's a guy, he's alive, he's strapped to a chair and they're cutting his face off whilst he's still alive.
Or like we were actually talking about the scene.
You see that. You see the sinew and the bits of like...
Well, I see the guy that turns round at one point because he gets distracted and accidentally puts a disc cutter into somebody's face and kills them immediately. Yeah. But there's also... This is one of the points that...
Actually, the face peeling was in Hostel 2. Yeah. I don't know why I watched that. It was way worse than the first
think
one.
Hostel 2 is the one I remember, because it's when the girl convinces the hostel runners that she has more money than the guy that's trying... Like, she's in the seat getting... like, the guy's getting ready to kill her, and then she's like, I've got more money than him. And then they check out all of her credentials. She does. So they switch them round, and then you straight up watch her castrate him. But the problem is it's what you're saying about the old movies and all of that, is there was nothing left to the imagination. Yes, it's some people want to see the full gore and we can actually do it, it looks more believable. But to me, Hostel wasn't scary, it was just disgusting.
It was just, bloodfest. It's like...
And that's what I don't like about some of these. Like I say, Saw 1, one of my favourite horror movies of all time. Saw 2, not a bad follow-up. I know that there's a storyline that I can follow internal to the franchise that's quite interesting over the rest of the Saw movies, and they actually do a very big overarching narrative through, but I'm never going to watch it because I don't like how much of a gore fest it became. Yeah. And that you know this because you were friends with me at the time, is I made a deliberate decision to stop filling my head with pure gore products. It had to be, I had to watch a horror for a reason.
Story.
Yeah.
It's like watching wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah, or looking at porn for the articles.
What else do you watch it for?
Oh, nothing else, no. It's I like hearing about what they do in their spare time, Yeah.
I've learned how to do plumbing from watching porn.
All we got to do is turn up and not do anything.
But I guess we need to wrap up soon because our manager's looking at the clock going, meh. But I think... If you want realistic and gory and horror and everything that goes on, just flick on a news channel because that will F you up big time because that's real and there's no CGI, there's no VFX.
And be very careful what you watch on Facebook because their filters are good. But I have seen some again, I'm one of those generations where I watched the beheading 20 years ago. But I was trying to explain to one of my students, because again...
watching Saddam Hussein's hanging and things like that. We're all that generation where we could find that, whereas now you can see a bunker busting bomb blow up a school on your primetime news. It's just like,
well, don't forget
the difference between that and, you know, that's fantasy horror and you can turn it off, whereas the news is ongoing. And
it's like I still remember the day that 9/11 happened, and I watched it without realising what I was doing for over 3 hours.
Oh, I can beat you on that because it's the day after my birthday.
And you sat there all day?
No. We went out on my birthday, and you know, I was very younger then, and drinking. So on my actual birthday, we went and, you know, sourced it up. The following day, September the 11th, we thought, well, we had hired one of those static caravans down in Newquay in Cornwall, and we were like, let's just chill out and smoke, eat, and do some other
stuff,
other psychedelics, shall we say, that aren't mushrooms and come on little dots of paper.
Fair enough.
So we there was probably about 6 of us all together, and we were like, smoking and dropping and, you know, peace and love and all that kind of stuff. I remember for some reason we had a big box of out-of-date hula hoops that were just the best thing to eat once you're tripping your nuts off. And we were watching this thing on the TV, and it's just like, God, this film's just going on and on and on. It's like, but why do they keep repeating it? And then we all kind of like carried on drinking and smoking and whatnot, and we passed out and we woke up in the morning going, oh, sobered up kind of thing. It's like, that was far out. Did we all just have like a group hallucination of like aeroplanes and buildings falling down and stuff? And it's like, yeah, I vaguely remember something along those lines. And then we put the news on, and it's like, oh, shit. Oh, so we were tripping our tits off and
watching 9/11
off our beans.
See, for me, like I say, so in 2001, I was either 14 or 15. So I come home from school. I remember it so clearly because it was so traumatizing. Spoke to one of my childhood friends on my way home from school. Normal conversation, and at the end he's like, oh, go watch The Terrace on TV, it's insane. I was like, all right. Walked across the road, went in, and it was the point where when my sister came home, and we still don't get on, but we didn't get on even back then. Huh? She comes barreling into the house because it was before you could look at it, even like TV.
Yeah, you had to
get home,
Yeah, we watched it on a tube TV, with a dome front, no flat screen. It was old school 2001.
So
TV
she comes
in the 90s.
So she comes barreling in, having heard about it loads and, you know, wanting to see it. And I was still there, and I still had my backpack on my back. I had just been sat cross-legged in the floor because I literally put on the TV, realised how serious it is, plopped down. I didn't move for 3 hours.
Words to say.
But I sat down for 3 hours, just watched it. By the time she got back, and she's like, how long have you been watching this? I was like, I don't know, maybe she worked it out. And it's the one time that I really remember her being my actual, you know, loving sibling, because suddenly I just broke. Like it was absorbing it so much, I just cried my eyes out. And then I think probably she, whilst doing it, was watching over my shoulder, because she put on hold her want to see the events to look after me. But it taught me such a good lesson that just because you can watch it on TV doesn't mean you should. True. Because I just watched thousands of people die over and over and over. And I think that's why for our generation particularly, or anybody that watched 9/11 happen, that's why it's still such a notable event, is because there's still that weird filter with news where it's like, okay, there's a bomb gone off, I watched the bomb go off, and then suddenly part of your brain goes, wait, lots of people have died whilst this is happening.
Especially now, it's hard to find the real truth because every news outlet
is owned by somebody.
It's owned by someone that wants to push a narrative, you know, be that this is a bad country, where actually they're peaceful people, you know.
Maybe not a peaceful government, but peaceful people.
Yeah, or you know, there's something that's driving that news agency to spin it in this direction if they're left-leaning, right-leaning, centrist.
Or just profit-driven as well.
That as well, yeah. But, you know, there are people out there, like on YouTube, that are just give you the facts. And that's the kind of news that
I try and get to, yeah.
Places like the BBC should be, because they're supposed to be impartial, just give you the facts, but even they have narratives.
The funny thing is that's the biggest joke of the UK is the fact that the BBC is impartial. It has never been impartial. It's so much down to who's funding it at the time, who's in government at the time, and I have not sat through, and you don't need to hear any more about my opinions on this because I crushed it at the time, but realising during two of the more important elections that we've gone through which didn't go the way I wanted to, is realising just how impartial the BBC was and how they really did not want Labour at that point in time to get into power, so they supported a narrative. But the thing is you look at the way that people handle this is probably an interesting one to go deeper into. But Rupert Murdoch, owner of quite a big news outlet, he deliberately lies in the last week before an election, knowing that he's breaking the law, knowing he'll go to court, and just having enough money to pay off all the fines that he gets from lying. How can you fight that? When somebody is deliberately knowing that they're going to go, like, how he paid something like 150 million for the lies that he told in the last week of the Jeremy versus Boris.
Day from selling one newspaper with boobs on the cover.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you fight against somebody that knows that they can swing those people on the fence with the front page headline, and he'll pay 150 million to do it? Not only does he earn it back, but he probably got that in a kickback from various sources that wanted to keep that government in power. This is why we could do a longer podcast on it. I am going to shut myself up.
We could rant and rave, but we've covered everything from like horror to
The Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy.
And we do try and keep content a bit light. You can probably tell from the depth of some of the stuff that and the emotion coming out are important subjects, but we will definitely put some thought into whether or not we cover big political things in the future, because we are just two numpties in Devon, UK, that... You know, we have our thoughts on it, but I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be a political podcast.
No. It's just our thoughts, and what I would say is, whatever we've brought up, just do your research. Even 100%. If you want to do your research and call us out for being wrong on everything, but do your research. It's the news out there, and even horror films. You know, life imitates art, art imitates life. But like I was saying, you can go on the news and watch schools getting blown up in grainy black and white footage, but then you can flick to another channel of your own choosing again and watch someone getting hacked to pieces in a film.
Or as you say, when it's blended as well. And this is my Jerry Springer's final thought.
Oh, go on then.
Is years ago, you could tell how much Wes Craven hated Harvey Weinstein, because in Scream 3, there is his surname's Milton, that's what he's referred to, is literally Wes Craven's attempt to try and show everybody what Harvey Weinstein was doing to young women. And we just thought it was a good storyline at the time. Turns out it was far darker than that. So what a lovely note to end on.
Be nice to yourselves.
Yeah, be kind. Yeah. But let us know, as you said in the comments, any thoughts that you have on anything we talked about, and to make sure you catch our next episode, do a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and
comment. That's the most important thing.
And don't do anything illegal.